everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my December 2024 reading vlog. So for this month I have decided to read just a few things that I don't want to have to deal with in 2025. So far I have read a few books. Firstly, I have finished Clytemnestra by Constanza Casati and I ended up giving that one 3 stars. This book is weirdly paced. Most of it is her childhood growing up with her sister, and she doesn't kill Agamemnon until page 411 out of 420-something pages. So that was a bit anticlimactic. I wish there had been more detail about Clytemnestra and Agamemnon's relationship. I thought a lot of it was a very surface level reading of the story. She made Clytemnestra's children very stereotypical, and she ended the story on a happy, triumphant girl boss note. For those who don't know the story, right after Clytemnestra kills Agamemnon, she sequesters herself in the palace, refuses to leave, obviously, so she does not have to deal with the consequences of what her and her boyfriend had done. But her son Orestes comes to the palace and kills her for slaying his father. This doesn't happen in the book. She ends it on a nice triumphant note, like, I will be remembered in history as a girl boss. That's just sort of lying to the reader, showing that she was triumphant and that nothing could go wrong, but in reality she is punished for what she did. Mind you, what she did was totally cool in my books, right? Agamemnon deserved to die in his bathtub, but, you know, you need to tell the truth to your audience, and you need to show that even back then she needed to be punished for her actions. So while this was not the worst take I have ever seen in a Greek myth feminist retelling, this one's perfectly fine. It had so many dog whistles, though, about the Song of Achilles. You can totally tell the author loves that book and was inspired to write a book like that about this character. That is totally fine. It's just, once again, very surface level, and since I did a lot of my studies on Greek myth in university, I felt this was, you know, a little simple, a little stereotypical, and the modern framework of turning her into a girl boss lacks a lot of nuance in regards to the character. Most of the time when I read these feminist retellings, I consider the original source material to have a bit more in the character work and a little bit more in the writing, because yes, they're depicting these characters, or women in particular, as behaving badly, but they give them a lot of pathos. You feel bad for them, and you should, because it's a tragedy. This is not a tragedy, this is a triumph, and it just fails to understand the point of the Oresteia. Next, I have read and finished What We Do in the Dark by Michelle Hart, and this is a story about a young college student who ends up having an affair with an older female professor, only referred to as the woman and never named, and the description of their affair, as well as the main character Mallory's past, the death of her mother, her growing up and realizing that she's gay, and her experiences with love, friendship growing up, and why she felt compelled to seek out this older woman and this relationship. Now, the part where the affair is described was my favorite part. A lot of people had a lot of issue with the story then backtracking and just going on to describe Mallory's childhood. I thought all of that stuff was fine, but I sort of agree with other readers in that maybe it should have been put first as a sort of chronological thing before getting to the affair, just to make it seem less like the story abruptly stopped and backtracked in sort of a weak way. Ultimately, it was a very good piece of lesbian fiction. A lot of people thought that the writing was very simple and very boring, and that left the characters flat. I thought that the frank storytelling worked in its favor, and sometimes when things are too emotional and too overdramatic, I'm put off by it, but that's just the kind of person I am. I'm a big fan of straightforward and to the point and honest, and I'm glad that the character did feel feelings of jealousy, but that the affair was not completely controlled by the young character's immaturity and jealousy, and that the affair went in a pretty realistic way. So I really did enjoy the book, though I'm only giving it 3 stars because I wasn't completely blown away by it. It's not my favorite book of all time, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And finally, I am listening to an audiobook called Blood Orange by Karina, Halle, and it is a Dracula retelling, except she has made Dracula some sort of differently named Swedish man who inspired Dracula, and he's a professor of music, and he runs a BDSM vampire sex basement, and the female main character is his reincarnated love. Blech, yawn. Once again, tired tropes, tired tropes, tired tropes. They're soulmates, and she is a slayer. She's destined to kill him. Ooh, what do you think's gonna happen? So far this is just by the books and just stereotypical, full of all the tropes that you're expecting. I do not like the dual perspective audiobook because the man is doing a really bad vampire accent while talking about having his dick sucked in like very vulgar, dominant language, very modern language as well. I find it like really, really off-putting that like this Dracula vampire is talking about his balls being fondled. Really don't like that. So yes, I knew exactly what I was getting into with this story. I was very curious about the synopsis. So of course I wanted to get this book out of the way. I didn't want my next year to be tainted by more of this really, really crappy, like, smutty romance. I'm not mocking anyone for enjoying it. I just think all of this stuff is incredibly ridiculous and funny. And so far, it's just been building up their relationship, and the female main character is trying to find a way to kill this Dracula man and deal with this book that he has because there's monsters coming out of the Venice River. Anyway, it's a whole thing, too much to explain, but so far it's been really, really silly, and I am curious to see how this is going to turn out, because a lot of reincarnated love stories all end up the same. So if it's different in any way, I will give props to it. So that is my update for now. It's my birthday tomorrow, so you will look forward to seeing the presents that I got and the cake that I got. I'm not doing anything crazy. I actually work on my birthday, which I'm totally fine with. And yeah, stay tuned for more updates soon.
But this grill is not a home. This is not the stove I know. I'll trade it all away if you come back to stay. This kitchen's not the same without you. It's just the grill is without you.
Hello, I am back with another reading update. So first things first is I finished Blood Orange by Karina Halle, and I'm giving that 2 stars, but the ending was way different than I imagined it. If you don't want spoilers, you can click till this graphic goes away. So yeah, none of the stuff with the monsters coming out of the Venice River even mattered. None of the plot about Voltu's friends having some kind of Necronomicon that's like bringing all these monsters out even mattered. None of this mattered. As soon as the truth was revealed that the main character is the reincarnated love of this guy, Voltu, the Dracula wannabe, he kills her. He kills her immediately. Well, first he finds out that she was destined to kill him, that she's a witch destined to kill him. He kills her immediately, and then while she's dying, she goes, "I'm your reincarnated love." Ugh. And then the end of the book is him freaking out at all of the situation going on. So I hear there is another book in the series that cuts to the newly reincarnated girl with a new name, who is now a vampire, has to find Voltu and convince him that she is his reincarnated love. But of course he's still burned by that moment where he didn't listen to anybody and he killed her for no reason. So I will not be reading that, but I said I would give props if this book ended differently than the usual, oh, we're in love, reincarnated love nonsense. So it got 2 stars for the, oh my god, he killed her at the end. Very funny stuff. The rest of the book was very boring. Like I said, the plot where these monsters are coming to life and his vampire friends are the ones causing it means nothing. That wasn't stopped because the book falls to a halt so they can bang for like 9 chapters. So boring stuff. Also, he used a cello bow on her. Gross. Don't do that. And it didn't even belong to him. It belonged to a different professor, so that's disgusting. Don't do that. Gross. That's not even appealing. Ew. And then for my next reading update, I read 57 Deathstroke and Teen Titans issues of comics. Yeah, I read the Rebirth Deathstroke run, as well as the few Teen Titans and regular Titans issues that tied into the Lazarus contract and the other event where Deathstroke was a main character, all written by Christopher Priest. Was interested in reading it because of all the family drama, not nasty ass stuff that Deathstroke does. I think he's a pretty interesting villain, but the comics run ultimately failed because a lot of it was focused on Joseph and Rose, and I don't care about those two very much. And it didn't really have Deathstroke do anything interesting. They try to make him a villain for Damien's Robin instead of Dick Grayson, even though he was literally created in 1980 for Dick Grayson to be his villain. So I don't understand the choices there. I think Christopher Priest could be a good writer. Everything is dealt with, tackled, and resolved, but it is all done in an order that I completely do not understand. So he will set up ideas in the first 10 issues, and then branch off on one idea for the next like 5 or 6, and then he will branch off like this for the next issue that was started all the way up here, and it won't connect to that first one. So it's just a lot of webs connecting, and then they all get tied up at the end very, very bluntly with a really poorly done ribbon, and I don't understand a lot of it. And a lot of it was a lot of science mumbo jumbo that didn't make any sense. For example, Slade went blind for about 3 issues, and then they had to quickly tile that up because he had to be part of the Lazarus contract. So all of that made 0 sense. It was all very, very muddy, but it was interesting seeing how bad of a dad that Slade is to his family. One of my favorite parts was when he is still actively going back in time, going through different dimensions, trying to bring his dead son Grant back, but he has to keep doing it again and again because he won't stop hitting him. he won't stop hitting him and just punching him out, and he has to go, oh crap, I have to do it again. It really, really showcases how bad of a father he is, how bad of a man he is. It was a good plot point, and it was a good way to show it off. So that is my reading update for now. I am glad to have gotten the Deathstroke comic run out of the way, out of my reading goal, because now I have read 157 books on my Goodreads, and it would have just been super, super muddy to have all of that in my 2025 reading. So end of the year is where I just shove all of that, because I met my reading goal anyway. So I may read a few more things to close off the year, but it is getting busy with all the holiday stuff that I have going on, so we will see about that. Even if all of my reading stops here, I read like 60 things, so I'd say that's a pretty good month. So stay tuned for more updates.
You ready? You want your pup cup?
Okay, hello everyone. It is the morning of December 31st, 2024. It is officially the last day of 2024. Yes, this is the day that I upload my video. I forgot to do my wrap-up. So, this month I also read the new Teen Titans volume 1, 2, 9, and 10 Those were the issues that got me established with Slade, with Grant, and with the new Teen Titans. I have already read the Judas Contract, so I just read those to catch up with almost every single volume that Slade has been in. There is plenty more after that, but I have everything in the beginning now. So for this month, I technically only read 5 separate properties, books, but in reality I read about 67, I think it was 67 things, that including books and individual issues. I'm not going to do a wrap-up of everything that I read because I think this video has all of my ideas pretty clear enough. So I am just filming my final clip to say that's it. That was my reading month. Thank you so much for watching all of my content throughout this year. I plan to make more in the new year. Happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year. Togepi loves you, and I will see you all next time. See you all next year. Bye bye.